Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're really going to cover a very basic grammar topic. Nothing too crazy before the end of the year because I know a lot of you still have some missing work and you're trying to get caught up. So we're just going to do a very basic, small grammar topic, negation. So like how to make sentences negative. So you've seen some of these words before. Some of it will be simple, but some of you are still struggling with some basic negation. So it's a really simple concept once you see it written out. I would love for you to take notes along with this video. There is going to be like a little listening quiz over this, and all of the questions are going to come directly from these notes. So if you follow along and watch the video, it should be super easy, like 10 out of 10. So once again, negation is just making a sentence negative. So one big key that you need to know in Spanish that is different from English. So in English, double negatives are like the worst thing ever. So in English, double negatives suck. But in Spanish, double negatives are the bomb. So in a lot of these sentences, we are going to have double negatives. And you're probably going to read it in English and think like, oh, that sounds silly. Well, we have to remember we're using Spanish, not English. So the double negatives are just going to serve as like reinforcement of the theme, or reinforcement that that sentence is negative. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a little chart, because all negatives, or all the negatives that we're going to talk about, have a positive counterpart. So this chart is going to show like these are the opposites of these words. So I'll write my negatives in red and the positives in blue. So the first like super easy negative is no. You guys know that one. And the positive equivalent of no is yes. I guess I'll write what these mean as well. Okay, our next one. Algo. So the word algo just means like something. So the opposite of something, or algo, is nada. And nada is nothing. Next, we have alguien. Alguien. So alguien means like someone or somebody. And the opposite of somebody is nobody. That is nadie. nadie. Nobody or no one. Next. Is algún. This is very similar to algo. So instead of something, it's just some. So algún is some. And then to say none, ningún. Ningún. Next, we have siempre. So siempre is the one you've seen for a while. It's always. And the opposite of always or siempre is nunca, which is never. Then we have también. So también is like also. Or two. And the opposite of that is tampoco. And tampoco means like neither. Like if you're saying me neither. Hope I spelt that right. My biggest weakness in English is I before E. Like I know the rule, but I always mess it up anyway. And then I know it doesn't fit the spacing, but we're going to squeeze our last one in right here. So if you want to say or in Spanish, you say o. So like if I was asking you, do you like Spanish or math? I'd say, ¿te gusta español o matemáticas? And then if you want to say, I don't like either, instead of saying or, again, there's a negative way to say or. In English, we have this too. We just don't use it very often. If you use it, you sound like a fancy person. Nor. So if you responded like, I don't like either of them, I just don't like them, you could say like, no me gusta español ni matemáticas. Be the correct way to phrase that. Okay. So make sure you have, get this chart one more time. Make sure you have that nice and neat in your notes. This is where you're going to find a lot of questions for your little note page. And not only did I run out of paper in this notebook, see, so I had to get a new notebook, but I dropped all my Sharpies on the ground like a total scrub. So rather than starting the video over, you guys just get to hear me narrate this whole process. So the last thing we're going to do, we're going to look at some examples. So like I said, this is fairly quick, fairly simple. So when we're using no in a sentence, you guys know this. You just put the no in front of the verb. So I could say yo no sé, which is I don't know, or no sé. But then if I want to like be extra crazy, and if I say yo no sé nada, that would be like I don't know anything. You might say Miss Clevenger. That's not a word for word translation because nada means nothing, not anything. And this goes back, there's like that split. So in English, double negatives don't exist, to be grammatically correct. They can exist, but they're not correct. But in Spanish, double negatives rock, man. They're the best. So you see, it's not always necessary to have a double negative. You can just say, I don't know, no sé. But double negatives can also expand an idea. So another sentence, let's use nadie. Nadie habla alemán en nuestra escuela. Nobody or no one speaks German in our school. See, this is just a singular negative. It's not a wrong sentence, but just know you could make it a double. Here's a double negative coming at you. No tengo ningún libro rojo. So this is gonna translate kind of like I don't have a red book, or I don't have any red books. And the word ningún, I guess I could have explained this on the last page, but it's fine. If I want to make it plural or feminine, I can change it. So ningún is masculine and singular. To make it plural, ningunos, feminine, ninguna, or ningunas. And so in this sentence up here, since the word libro, the noun, is masculine singular, I picked the masculine singular version of ningún for adjective agreement. Okay. Another sentence. We have él nunca come los guisantes. So this is kind of an obscure vegetable from our Spanish 2 class. He never eats peas. It's a very polarizing vegetable. You either love it or you hate it. And this next sentence I'm going to give you is pretty crazy. If I tell you it's a triple negative, would you believe me? Okay, so here we go. We've got Sarah messed up my color scheme. How embarrassing. So Sarah no compra. Ready? Nada. Tampoco. Sarah no compra nada tampoco. So Sarah doesn't buy anything either. So the meaning of these sentences are the same, even though word for word, the translation doesn't match. They have the same overall meaning. And then our last example, to get one example with each of these words. No necesitas una calculadora ni una carpeta para mi clase. So you don't need a calculator or a folder for my class. Now, the thing with ni, so some of these sentences, like you can just use the one negative word. Like up here, we have él nunca come los guisantes. This is the only negative word in the sentence. And that's perfectly fine. But ni, if you use ni, it has to be in a double negative sentence. You can't just say, necesitas una calculadora ni una carpeta. That wouldn't be grammatically correct. You have to preface that sentence with no, because ni needs that support. It needs that extra affirmation that it is a negative sentence. Okay, thank you all for watching these. Don't forget to take your little Google form assessment over these notes. Once again, the answers come directly from the notes.